Welcome to Timeball Games. I'm ELD, here to ask you for help in growing the channel. When we reach 2,500 subscribers, I'm going to be giving away a custom leather playmat to one lucky subscriber. So be sure to like and subscribe. Hello and welcome to Fast Effect Double Speed Magic the Gathering from ELD's Timeball Games in Bellingham, Mass. Here I'm on Dredge, a rare treat for me to be able to actually play in one of my events versus Nick on Bug Delver. Usually only get to play if there's an odd number of people and not a lot of them, something like 9 players or something. I'll make it go to 10 to make sure we don't have a bye. Before the shutdown we were routinely in the teens, which makes it pretty tough to justify stepping away from the register and my role as judge. But we got a great group here. Not a ton of judge calls. We got a Force of Negation stopping a Faithless looting. Upside on the card being relevant there is it'll stop the flashback as well. However, it gets a high quality card out of Nick's hand in terms of Force of Will. So Force of Negation and Force of Will traded for that Faithless looting. Now Street Wraith cycles and Cephalid Coliseum taps for a breakthrough. Draw 4, discard all but X cards. No dredgers in the graveyard yet. So this is essentially just dumping my hand. Though to be fair, you get the 4 extra cards in there as well, which is no small thing, as that easily turns on Threshold. And those cards apparently good enough for Nick to throw in the towel in game number 1. I didn't actually catch all of those cards. It's not hard to imagine what they could have been that would have a Delver player scooping it up so early. There's just a ton of powerful plays that can happen with Dredge. Hagak coming in off of zombie tokens or Icarids. And of course the Cephalid Coliseum the next turn would have been dredging a ton. We're talking at least 4 dredges, 1 for the draw step, 3 for the Coliseum. And that may just be way too much for Bug Delver to have any chance against in game number 1. Delver's a fast deck, however, post-board, it may be a real slog if they're going to win. A fast game may mean that Dredge ended up being the winner. Bug Delver post-board may be looking at completely manhandling the graveyard, possibly Leyline, Surgical, Fairy Macabre. Really, they have access to most of the best graveyard removal. And then kind of chip away at the life total. Early on versus Dredge, you don't want to set the stage to be a race unless you've got the disruption. I mean, a Delver of Secrets is not going to outrace a Dredge deck without an awful lot of help, and that help likely has to be Graveyard Hate, as counterspells don't really play the role that you want them to in this matchup. For anyone that's sat down across from Dredge, I'm sure they've seen things spiral out of control as cards start flying into the graveyard. Cabal therapies start stripping cards from your hand, and even a rock-solid hand, multiple counters just can quickly melt away under that type of pressure with all of those cards going into the graveyard. Unmask, another card that sometimes in this list we'll see as this unfolds exactly what type of discard spells are available to Dredge. A couple of Narcomoebas in hand, not nearly good enough, and Nick, on that same note, throwing it back. Now this is the mana version of Dredge, so there's a pretty wide range of keepable hands, certainly a variety. Not as many keepable hands as mana-less Dredge, which is literally keep any 7. That's a deck that you cannot mulligan with. You have to keep your 7 and then actually choose to be on the draw, meaning that you'll draw and discard a card. This has more ways of getting cards into the graveyard, though not strictly better. Mana-less Dredge is a very different animal. Can be exploited. Ooh, We've got a Lion's Eye Diamond along with a Putrid Imp. This is a second discard. And that's let to resolve despite the Daze. So Daze could have countered that Putrid Imp or forced the Lion's Eye Diamond to be sacrificed. Very interesting. Both of these discard spells, very dangerous. Wasteland takes out this Gemstone Mine. And no discard before the draw, so that seems to indicate no dredgers in hand. There's a Cephalid Colosseum in hand. But again, with no dredgers, it's not going to amount to much. Baleful Strix adds some board presence to Nick's side, prevents this Putrid Imp from potentially being a quasi-delver. Once you get +1/+1 on there, 2 damage at a time can actually add up uncomfortably quick while you're trying to stop all of these other lines from coming to fruition. We're not going to be hard casting Narcomoeba, are we? Not what I like to see on camera is hard casting Narcomoebas. It's not really where you want to be. Yeah, there was a Golgari Thug in hand, which probably would have been better to cast that. There's some tricks you can do with the Thug. Oh, I see. We're just going to discard him. That's also fine. Now we're cooking. Things can get pretty graphic from here. So that Thug going to the graveyard, dredging 4. Yeah, I'm not sure why that Narcomoeba wasn't cast. I guess just to get to the 7 cards for Threshold. I tend to be way more comfortable analyzing my play harshly. Always interested in trying to find where I've made errors. And Icarid goes to the graveyard. And now Nick asks to see that graveyard, indicating that he likely has some way of interacting with it. Or perhaps actually just for the Tarmogoyf to see the power and toughness. Icarid coming back, removing the Thug. Draw step. We get a Cabal Therapy in there. Street Wraith cycling, picking up the Stinkweed Imp. That gets a Narcomoeba and a Bridge from Below. And that's going to force the Tormod's Crypt to be used by Nick. It's Narcomoeba in the hand. One of the worst places it can possibly be. Though there are some tricks that you can do when Golgari Thug dies. Putting Narcomoeba back on top of the library can certainly catch players off guard when combined with token generation. Ooh, and Wasteland taking out that Cephalid Colosseum is actually a disaster. Oh, that is super brutal. During the end step. Is that during the end step? Lion's Eye Diamond being sacrificed. I'm not actually sure why that would happen. Tormod's Crypt taking out the graveyard and Fatal Push taking out Putrid Imp. And this one is going to go to Bug Delver down to no cards in hand. Yeah, actually just scooping it up there. And we are 1 apiece going into game number 3. Dredge going to be on the play. Looks like some serious mulliganing happening here. Game 1, a super busted start. Game 2, looks like I could have played it a lot better despite 2 Tormod scripts from Nick. Did not really look, at least at double speed, like it was close to an optimal line. We've got a Mana Confluence and a Lion's Eye Diamond. Force of Will on that LED, and now Breakthrough. And this is an all-in line. I see a Bridge from Below going in there, and a Tormod script could be close to the end. That's exactly what we see. Cabal Therapy, targeting Nick. We see Baleful Strix and Sylvan Library. Library going to pull him right back into this situation. He can actually afford to pay a huge amount of life. He's just going to pay 4 for now. Wasteland taking out that Mana Confluence. And from here, it would not be unreasonable to imagine being beaten to death just with this 1/1 Owl. The Death Touch sadly does not apply to players, so this will be a slow... Actually, now Delver's here, so at least we can have some expediency to this beatdown. Daze takes out a Lion's Eye Diamond, a rare play there. Typically, you've got at least a land in play before you cast your LED, but Wasteland has cleared that off the board and now playing with 0 permanents. Brainstorm trying to make this Delver flip, turn this into a 4-turn affair. Four damage coming in. Another Delver, sure to flip, and a Tormod script. And this is essentially unwinnable from here. Delver flips, Abrupt Decay goes to hand. 7 damage, just 1 more turn. 3 Stinkweed Imps. This is not poker. 3 of a kind gets you absolutely nothing, but Nick picking up the win with Bug Delver. Tormod's proving to be good enough versus Dredge. That is all for this one, but don't worry, there is a lot more. You can check out our older videos, and we're always putting out new videos from ELD's Time Vault games in Bellingham, Massachusetts. If you want to help the channel, of course, you can like, subscribe, share, tap that notification bell so you can know the next time our new videos come out. Thanks for watching.